Sorry, I need to get my stuff together. I've been busy all morning. I feel like I'm nervous. I don't know why. I feel nervous. Hey y'all, today we're gonna do the grand opening for Ark'hara, which is the soul school that I'm opening. Today is its initiation day, which I'm so excited about. But school doesn't actually start until March. Until then, we'll kind of be holding sessions in presence together. And this is just my introduction to what you'll be learning over the next 3 years in this course, in the spiral. Hey, Hydra girl. And so I'm so excited to share this with y'all because I've been working on this for such a long time. Hey, Asia. I've been working on this for such a long time, and I'm just happy to finally be here. And it's like my cheeks are hurting. I'm smelling so hard. But I'm happy to actually be in this place because when I first made a TikTok about this, people were asking me like, would I ever do this? And I was like, oh hell yeah, I already know exactly what I would do. Hey AJ, hey VCat, hey Uniquely Designed, hey Drika. And I was just like, you know what? I know exactly what I would do. And I made a TikTok about it. And then right after that, somebody approached me about a soul school that they was starting, or like it's really like a psychic development school that they was starting, and it didn't feel right. It's like my soul was stirring on the inside, and I'm like, I don't think I'm supposed to be in somebody else's stuff. And I actually felt really terrible about turning that down. But then I was just like, no, I gotta do what's best for me. And I feel like that was an environment that really didn't appreciate my knowledge but wanted to benefit from it. And I was just like, I have to follow my gut, right? And so I started working on this, and I've actually always been very forward moving, meaning that if I want to do something, I'm just gonna fucking do it. I don't care about like I'll figure it out as I go, and then either it's gonna work or it's not gonna work. But this was really scary for me because I didn't want to get it wrong. Like I had this fear of I don't know, leading people in the wrong direction that I had to kind of unpack. And so in these last couple of months of me really working on myself and untying my worth from material things and external things and all of this, I started to feel like everything fell into place. Hey, Jacqueline. Everything was starting to fall into place, and I was starting to see myself differently, and I was starting to feel safe in my body. And now I'm integrating the things that I've talked about. And that's the whole point. Like that is the whole point. And so today, what I kind of want to do is walk you through what this school is about. It is a 3-year commitment, but there are breaks in between. There's so much fun stuff that I want us to do. I'm actually in the process of trying to get us funding so that we can take trips together. And like, I want this to be your spiritual community. Hey, Yashika. But I want this to be your spiritual community. I want this to be a place where you can come and you can be yourself, because I feel like I fell into that group of people who was just a little off kilter. I got a little too much wabi sabi, and I felt deeply misunderstood my entire life. And I feel like I never had anybody to talk to about that because we didn't have elders, or we didn't have people in my family who held us and soothed us or anything like that. And so with this school, what I'm trying to do is create a space to where people have that. Where we create that amongst each other, and where we build real community that's sustainable. And as you go through this spiral, 3 years with the same people, going on vacations together, meeting each other, whatever the case may be, now you have people within a community that actually sees you, holds you, witnessed you, been through some shit with you, who you can lean on. And I think that's what it's all about. Like, so many people reach out to me and they like, Taja, I want community. I want this. And I'm like, girl, I'm trying. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do. But I thought that this would be a great way. This is actually something that was supposed to be launched. It's the launch date of my app, but unforeseeable things. Let's just say I've never developed an app before. And so I didn't know that there was a whole process to actually launching the app, which kind of put me a little bit back. Hey, Tajane. Set me a little bit back, but I said, you know what? I'm not going to let that discourage me. I'm just going to still have the celebration. I'll do it on live. I'll do it in a public forum so that everybody can hear this message, because, or so everybody could see this, because until the first week of March, if you haven't signed up, if you haven't, did the intake or anything like that, I'm still giving you space to do that, because there is a mass awakening that's happening around this time of the year. It's the third wave. So a lot of people are going to be waking up and they're not going to know how to integrate their energy because we've only been taught how to channel. We haven't been taught how to integrate, And so I want you guys to have a safe landing place because in this last week, I was talking to a client and she was telling me this story and I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly why my soul school is so important because she was having a situation where her daughter was having spiritual psychosis. And there's a thin line between spiritual awakening and spiritual psychosis, and so I think you need an environment that teaches you how to do things slowly so that you can actually feel safe, in your body as you're trying to anchor in new energy, because the new energy is coming regardless. Okay. And so today I'm excited because this is the return of a living temple. This is something that's going to grow with us. It's going to breathe with us. It's going to change with us. It's going to evolve with us. Hey, Lisa. Laura. Hey, Laura. And so what I've been thinking about is that in order for us to remember who we are, we have to first return to where we are, which is here in the body on this earth. And, I think so many of us realize that we're more spiritual than we are material. And we go completely from the material realm all the way over to the spiritual realm, not realizing that we're going from one extreme to the other, when the goal was never to be one or the other. The goal is for you to be both because you are both. Right. And so we don't realize that our body is earth. It is what connects us to earth. It is made up of the 4 elements. Right. It is earth. It's our personal earth. But then we also live on the earth that is her own body. Right. And so the goal is for us is to reconnect with that. This school is a school of remembering. It's of reconnection, but it's also of resurrection. Right. And me and my 3 priestesses, I have 2 of them in the chat today, Jayla and Hija. They'll be helping us. Dominique is also going to be a priest in this, or just embodied guides. Right. But he's been sick lately, so he's not going to be on here today. But you guys are going to love him. But they're in the chat. There's Hija. And so what we're trying to do is to guide you home to your body. We're trying to get you into coherence with earth, and then also move forward into flame embodiment, which is the ignition of oversoul light through stable form, right? Which means that when they say the God within, bring the God within in this reality, what they really mean is that through your mind, through your crown, you channel energy, right? You're channeling energy down from the oversoul stream, source, whatever it is that you want to call it, right? But if your body doesn't feel safe and it doesn't have a stable place to land, you're going to feel overstimulated. You're going to feel disembodied. You're going to feel disconnected. You're going to feel apathy, numbness, all of these things, right? And so what we're trying to do is make sure that you have a safe environment so you can be properly guided through that process, okay? So that's the whole goal of this. Now, why I think people should choose this path, or why I even came up with this school and why I think it's so important, is because I think we have collective needs that we are not acknowledging because we're so used to bypassing. We're so used to just keeping our head down, doing what we got to do, making it through. And so the collective need that I was seeing is that we live in a time of global disconnection, of overstimulation, and of spiritual bypassing. And many people are trying to awaken without knowing how to anchor. We don't know how to ground ourselves into this reality, right? We don't realize that we're supposed to be here. They're like, I hate this place. But it's like, no, you're supposed to be in this place, though. It's just the way that you need to show up that's going to make your life more enjoyable, right? And so we're awakening, but we don't know how to anchor. I also think that we treat our body like it's an obstacle when our body is not an obstacle. Our body is a portal, right? We're like radio stations that is when we're constantly receiving signals and transmitting signals. And that comes through thoughts, emotions, sensations, ideas, like all of those things, right? But and we're also moving through timelines as we make choices, as we're receiving those signals, transmitting those signals. As we make choices, we're moving through different timelines. And that's like us changing the station or changing the dial, right? And so because energy is moving through us constantly, sometimes that energy can get stuck. And when it gets stuck, that's what we call trauma, right? So we need to realize that we're portals and that energy is supposed to consistently be moving through us so that we understand that it's our responsibility for that energy that freezes, that pauses inside of us, for us to process that so that our portal can stay open so that energy can move through us. And so we think that our body is a problem, and we don't realize that dis-ease in your energy, or disease, what they like to call dis-ease, is just poor circulation, right? Because there's frozen energy somewhere, there's tension somewhere that is causing a blockage, right? Which eventually, from the spiritual side, manifests into something physical. And so we got to stop seeing the body as an obstacle, and we need to start looking at it like a portal. Earth is treated like a resource, and we take and we take and we take and we take from her, but we don't pour back into her. And Earth is a partner. Every time you manifest, every time you pray, every time you whatever, right? Every time that you do that, you're pulling in Earth's life force energy, but we see her as something that we're supposed to rob of all of her resources without giving anything back. And it's as simple as blowing into your hands and giving that back to Earth if that's all you got. We don't realize our breath is the breath of life. That's how you blow life back into her, And so we're too busy treating her like a resource instead of a partner. And so I want to help us to reconnect from a healthy standpoint, right? And then flame embodiment. When I say flame, I mean your internal truth. Your internal truth is going to be completely different than my internal truth, because as much as they try to sell us that there is only one source energy, there is, which is an infinite field of potential, right? But then there's also these segments that are coming off of it, these individual soul energy that's coming off of it that we can tap into, because we're here to play with angelic codes. We're here to play with different energies, right? Which means that we can tap in and channel different oversoul streams from different oversoul cities, but we don't really understand that, right? And for each person, it's going to be different. You might find people who have similarities, but your soul's language is so specific to you. It's like your fingerprint. It's like your fingerprint. You come here for a specific reason. And that's what I want to help you to discover. I don't need you to become me. I want you to become you, right? Because we are in this symphony together. Everybody has a frequency and a vibration, which means everybody is making a sound. Everybody is playing a tune. Everybody's off key. Everybody in this motherfucker is off key. If we can get you back on key, that affects 17,000 people. 17,000 people without you even doing anything but your own inner work, right? And so this school is about empowerment. The flame embodiment right now, when people embody their truth, that's misunderstood as escapism. But it's really a co-creative path of stability and sovereignty. It's how you get your sovereignty back. It is an act of rebellion. And so my school invites people into a new relationship with themselves as energy. You have to understand yourself as energy, because you live in the material realm, which means that the only way for consciousness and awareness to move in this reality is through energy. You have to speak the language of energy, because that is your home language, not English, not Spanish, not French. Your home language is energy. But we don't know that, okay? We also need to understand Earth is a conscious stabilizer. It is what stabilizes us. So when people have mental fractures, DID, which is identity dissociative disorder, multiple personality, schizophrenia, is because they're not using Earth as a stabilizer. They're in the physical Earth, but in the spiritual realm at the same time, and there's a split. You need unification. And then the flame, we need to start treating the flame as our sacred inheritance, because it is. We live in a system that has caused us to externalize our worth, right? And so we think our inheritance is money. There are gifts, there are codes, there are memories that exist inside of you. That is your inheritance, right? And so I want us to reconnect to that. So the goal of this school is to initiate multidimensional embodiment through the stabilization of your body. Try to make your nervous system feel safe, and the remembering of your oversoul flame. And this includes us rebuilding trust in your body as a vessel of intelligence and intuition. Okay, you need intelligence and intuition. You need information and intuition. You need technology and intuition. They go together. Intuition first, because it's 90% of who you are. Technology, information second, as confirmation, right? The problem with Lemuria was that they were all intuition. The problem with Atlantis is that they were all intelligence. When it comes to this new Earth frequency, what we should have learned from our previous experiences if you be able to tap into that energy. What we should learn is that we need both. Okay? We need both. We need them to be working together. That's what we call the divine masculine and the divine feminine. We need both polarities to work together, which means we need a balancing point. We need to stop looking at things so linearly, and we need to look at the triplicity of life. We also need to restore resonance with Earth so energy can be integrated, not just channeled. Okay? Most of us are channeling energy that's scary, that deals with a lot of shame, guilt through that lens, and we don't know how to integrate the actual energy because we don't know how to sit with our feelings. We don't know how to sit with our feelings because we've been disconnected and disembodied from our feelings. Well, your feelings is how your heart, your soul, your body speaks to you. And so because we look at feeling as a weakness, we don't know how to integrate. And so I'm bringing that back. Don't you worry. I got us. All right. And also we need to open up to flame intelligence. And this is our soul fire. It's our oversoul light, right? Soul fire comes from the body, the heart. Oversoul light comes from above because you're channeling something down, but you're also channeling something from within, right? And we need to do this in a way that's grounded, that's relational, and that is also regenerative. The reason why I chose the name Ark'hara, the flame spiral temple of becoming, is because it's not just a title. It is an encoded gateway. Every time you call on that energy, you're anchoring in a frequency. Okay. Ark'hara stands for the eternal memory vessel. The Ark part represents a sacred carrier of divine blueprints, memory, and soul technology. This is very similar to the Ark of the Covenant. But Hara refers to the womb space, the center of creation, and the power core in ancient soul dialects. It's the oversoul's anchor point into the body, a center of pure will and becoming. So Ark'hara is the soul vessel that carries the original template of the self before fragmentation. Okay. And also the structure that helps others restore their original blueprint through flame work and remembrance. So every time you say the name Ark'hara, you are anchoring in the frequency of your own original template before fragmentation. Okay. Because everything I do with intention. The flame spiral of the flame spiral temple reminds us that becoming is not linear. It's sacred, it's layered, and it's alive. But you're not ascending anywhere. Okay, you're not ascending out of this world. You're spiraling deeper into it as light embodied. We think ascension is the goal and we're supposed to be going somewhere else. And so all of our energy is externalized, it's pushed outwards. But your energy is supposed to be pulled inwards, right? Because if you think about it, when your energy is pushed outward, what state are you in? You're hypervigilant. You're scanning your environment. You're always looking for danger. You're braced for impact. You're in survival. Your energy is not supposed to be outside of you. Your energy is supposed to be in your vessel, anchored into your vessel, right? Your light embodied into the physical plane. Okay. The temple is the field that's around you. So it's your aura, it's your electromagnetic field, but it's also you. It is the internal structure that you are going to remember. And this is not by memorization, it's resonance. So I was even intentional when it came to selecting the priests and priestesses that are going to help me anchor in safety into this space. One of them is air and fire. The other one is air and water. One of them is earth and water. That's me. I'm that one. And then the other one is air and water, right? We don't understand how significant that is, but that's oversoul structure and form. It creates a safe environment for people to open naturally and safely, right? And so the flame spiral is what reflects me in my own 13 flame framework. I have the Sarah flame, and the Sarah flame is all 13 flame lineages, which is your soul's natural blueprint. My energy is an energy of unification. Okay. I house sacred memories and teachings. And I talked about this the other day about me making a chart for how I wanted to organize my year and my energy. And we're actually going to do this together in our first couple of sessions, sitting in presence for those of you who have already paid your initiation fee. In those first couple of months, I'm going to make sure that you guys are in energetic alignment and stuff like that. Right. But this technology came from studying, but through me studying Santos Bonacci, through me studying him, who does synchronicism and stuff like that, and Julio Castro and other people, I came up with this framework, and he was explaining it to me, but he didn't do it in the phases of the moon. And because I did it in the phases of the moon, I figured out what you need to do in every single cycle. And technology like this, I create technology like this all the time. The flame lineages, right? Which is something that came from inside of me. The Oversoul Codex with the tarot deck that I created, again, is teaching you how to walk through every element that you are, you know? And so there's sacred teachings that I have inside of me that I just keep sharing, and they happen to be accurate. I don't know. I'm just trusting in what I'm channeling, right? But also oversoul anchoring through multidimensional gateways. And so this is what makes this school a living codex. This school is a living codex. So now the school is going to be channeling down energy, and then of becoming is just pointing out the fact that this is not about conformity and it's not about hierarchy. It's about being transparent, which means being honest, being truthful with yourself. It's about being sovereign, understanding that nobody has control over you. You have free will, right? Becoming flame, which is your truth. Hey, Aria. Becoming flame, understanding that the things that inside of you that you make your soul stir, that you passionate about, that's the shit you need to be going after. You know, but we live in a system of survival that prioritizes comfort. So every time shit gets hard, we just say, well, I'm just going to go get a corporate job because at this point I need to be able to survive. Right. But then we also need to become oversoul embodied, right? Channeling the God within in this reality, expressing through that energy. But then also we need to become no one. And the reason why we have to become no one is because if we are no one, we can be all things. So many of us get stuck in the identity, and the identity is you seeing yourself as the creation and not the creator, right? Identities are helpful because they help us to explore certain things. However, when you get stuck into an identity, you can't see yourself as nothing else outside of that. And whatever your beliefs are the expectations that you build your reality around. And you're so fucking powerful that you don't realize that when you believe something about yourself, it is true. So it is, right? And so we got to learn how to become no one. We got to learn sacred detachment so that you can be everything that you are. And that's a multitude of different things, right? Right now, I'm working on a soul school. I'm working on a creative brand project. I'm working on a book. I've been writing a book every single night for a week straight. I didn't even know I was writing. I didn't even know I was supposed to be writing no damn book. It's just that I said, well, what would happen if I did write a book? What would it look like? And just channel down all of the information. That's how you're supposed to be. All the things, right? And so the phrasing, Ark'hara, the flame spiral temple of becoming, allows us to bring our full self to work. I don't need you perfect. Perfect is what happens when you're performing. I need you authentic, and I need you in a state of consistently refining, which means you got to be learning from your lessons. And that's why it was not my goal to gatekeep this from anybody. This is open to everybody, but there was an intake. And the reason why there was an intake, or there is an intake, is because I have to see that you are in a place where you're actually willing to do the work. You cannot be in a place of blaming other people or blaming the universe. You have to have a certain level of inner responsibility in order for us to move this forward. You got to be willing to look at yourself honestly and say the hard shit, even if it makes you cry, even if it makes you feel like you're this certain type of person. I'm gonna help you untangle that shit anyways. But if you're willing to be mirrored and you're willing to do the work, I'm willing to. But I only can be talking to those of us who are ready to change. Hey, Lisa, right? Because I need this environment to be safe for everybody that's in this environment. And sometimes when we blaming other people and we blaming the universe, we're defensive about everything. And I can't help you until you're ready to help yourself, right? So whether we're at the beginning of our journey or we're already walking in mastery, this is going to be perfect for you, because the resonance I'm trying to anchor in, okay, which the name energetically supports this, these soul encoded missions, sovereignty through remembrance. You gain your liberation by becoming clear of heart, by responding to things from your heart and not your wounds, right? That's the pathway. Through to remembrance, transformation. Yes. You know, temple guardianship as spiritual self-leadership. You are the guardian of your own inner temple. Okay. You have to cultivate peace and safety for yourself. Nobody can do that for you. Okay. Multidimensional curriculum encoded in flame spirals. We're going to learn about energy, consciousness, and awareness over these next three years. Those three things is what you need to understand first. Yes, am I going to do some offshoot classes or some offshoot courses? Absolutely. Will I bring people in to talk to us? Absolutely. Will we go on field trips and stuff like that? Absolutely. Because I think we need live experience too. I think we need in the world experience too. Because that's where integration happens, right? But we're going to walk this curriculum together. It also gives you mentorship dissolved into embodiment. Because you will get to witness me in an embodied state, in the way that I move, in the way that I respond, in the way that I act. Okay. But also service reborn as essence transmission, right? Because you never had to become anything. You never had to be anything. You're already the thing. You have to anchor into your own personal essence and transmit from that place. We only came here to do two things: to become aware of ourselves, and that happens in the feminine cycle, winter and fall. But then we also came to express ourselves as energy, which is spring and summer. That's the activity cycle, whereas autumn and winter are the rest cycle, right? And so the purpose of this is to guide everyone through the first stages of energetic sovereignty, through oversoul reconnection and multidimensional alignment. What you will reclaim in this class is parts of yourself that you've lost in distortion. Okay. But you'll also begin building your sacred inner temple. Okay. So some of the pillars of yourself that I want you to reclaim is that you are a flame, which means reclaiming your essence without external identification. Okay. I am a temple, building inner structure and self-trust. I am a mirror, learning how projections, shadows, and distortions keep you small. Right. I am a spiral, understanding time, timeline, soul fragmentation, and remembrance. I am sovereign, no longer outsourcing your power or your identity. Right. I am source, returning to unity with all beyond being a teacher, a service, or a system. Right. So in this course, you're going to learn that you're not simply a body. You're not simply a mind or a name that's been passed down through lineages. You are an electrical presence of consciousness moving through matter. You are the sacred meeting point between the form and the formless, where energy becomes expression and consciousness becomes aware of itself. Okay. So there's fundamental codes of your existence: energy, consciousness, and awareness. Energy is the movement through this physical reality. It's sensation, it's emotion, it's frequency, it's electricity, which is thought, it's breath. Okay. It's chemistry. Chemistry is how you alchemize your internal states. They didn't teach it to you that way, did they? I bet you they did. They didn't. You know, as within, so without. They taught it to you in reference to plants and animals and things like that, but they didn't tell you how it works for you. Energy is what flows. Consciousness is the presence. Consciousness is the witness. Think of consciousness as like your eyeballs. It's the intelligence. It's the design field. So your aura that notices, right? It also remembers, and it creates meaning for things. It is what sees. But your awareness is the anchor into the now moment. It is how your soul lands inside of every moment, how it chooses meaning, how it embodies wisdom. When awareness is scattered, you lose access to your own intelligence. When awareness is concentrated, though, you become alchemical. You become an alchemist. The more you put your attention on something, meaning the more that you practice, the more you have the ability to alchemize, transmute, or impact that energy. Okay? We are ritualistic people, which means that we learn through repetition. That means you don't start off being perfect at something. You know, we spend too much time comparing ourselves to people who advanced at some shit and we just started, right? Give yourself some grace. The more that you learn about something through repetition, which is what we call mastery, the more equipped you are to influence that energy. And so the goal is to become a student of life, to let your curiosity lead you, to let knowledge be the key that opens the doors. Because when you know better, you can do better versus somebody who's just trying to survive to see another day. Okay, these three things make up your architecture. And they're also refractions of source. Okay, so when people talk about source, they're pointing towards the first cause, the unbroken field from which all existence arise, right? The one, the none, right? It isn't an object out there, but the ground of being itself, pure awareness, pure creative potential. That's what source is. Creation energy. It's creativity, right? Different traditions call us different names: Tao, Brahman, Great Spirit, God, the Void, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. but it's an ineffable presence. So source is unconditioned consciousness before thought, before polarity, before time. It's an infinite energy, which is the wellspring that powers galaxies and cells alike. It powers you. It's self-knowing awareness. It observes itself through every form that appears, and it's neutral love. It's neutral love, not sentimental emotion, but an intrinsic harmony that holds all things. Okay? So in the language of physics, awareness is the 0-point field. It's to see a potential from which matter, light, and life continuously emerges. It's the 0-point field. Do you know where the 0-point field is in your body? It's your heart. The 0-point field, the energy of neutrality. You have spirit, then you have matter below. And you can look at it like this too. Look at this like a force field. This is your thoughts. This is your body. This is your mind. This is your body. Together, they make a force field of masculine energy and feminine energy, right? In the middle, though, here, which your heart chakra is the bridge to higher and lower dimensions, states of consciousness. If you can be at the heart, right, instead of, we'll say that this is God, this is God, this is the devil, right? In the middle is Jesus, right? Jesus was not above sin. He was saying you just need balance. That's the only thing he was saying to people, is that you just need balance, right? The balancing point is the 0-point field, which is your heart space. Your heart space speaks the language of feeling, which means you need to move according to how things make you feel, period. Okay? In mythical language, it's the one light that dreams itself to become many. Okay? What you need to understand about source is you are not separate from source. So many of us are searching and looking for source. You are the thing. Okay? You're not a spark that was created by source. You are source experiencing itself as you, right? We are in this field, and you can think of it like grid. Think of it like a grid with a bunch of different points, right? A blanket though, right? Not only are you the whole field, but when you choose to incarnate, you choose to become one single point on that field. And so you came here to figure out why you chose this one, to become aware of yourself. Why did I choose this version of me? Because there's something so uniquely special about this specific version. And at this time in life, right? So remembering that you are source experiencing itself it helps you to dissolve the sense of distance between you being a human and the divine. There is no difference. You are the thing. Everything is made of source, matter, emotions, thoughts. There are just different densities of the same luminous substance. So when you treat your body and your world as less sacred, you forget what you are made of. You forget what you're made of. I'm here to remind you, I'm here to remind you. It expresses itself through polarity, right? It expresses itself through polarity. Polarity is a thing specific to your soul on this plane. Okay? So it knows itself. To know itself, because source is here to try to get to know itself. To know itself, source differentiates itself into opposites, which means that you learn through contrast. Sometimes you got to do it wrong to get it right, and there is no wrong. That's the gag. There are no bad decisions. It's just what decision made you feel good and which one didn't. So that means that you don't know before, you know after you have the experience. But so many of us spend so much time trying to figure out what decision is going to be the best decision and the most perfect decision, right? That we make no decision at all. But it's not about the decision. You make the decision based off of whatever you think is going to make you feel the best. And then after the decision, you'll be able to decide whether you like this thing or you don't like this thing, right? But we get stuck in the opposites, which is light, dark, masculine, feminine, movement, stillness. When you are all of it, And so what I'm also going to teach is that to us, how to reunify the poles, because that's how evolution happens and that's how healing happens. Okay? Source is both transcendent and is immanent as well, which means that source is beyond all things and within every single atom. So not only is it beyond all things, it's within everything, right? And so meditation is how you touch the transcendent part of source, but embodiment is how you reveal the immanent part of source. Okay. Source communicates through resonance. You hear source not in words, but in alignment. That comes through synchronicities, intuition, effortless flow, the things that just come naturally to you. It's source moving through you because you're in alignment. You're in the flow of energy. So when your frequency matches truth, your reality cooperates with you. When your frequency matches truth, your internal truth, your reality cooperates. You stop swimming upstream and now you're coasting, you're floating, right? So you also, the last thing you need to understand about source, it moves through love and will. Love is what magnetizes. But in order for you to be in a state of being of love, because love is not an emotion, it's not an action, it's not any of those things. Love is a state of being that you exist at. Love is source. It's how you anchor into source, right? So love magnetizes. Love for yourself, love for other people. First, love for yourself. All of us have an unworthiness issue because of money. Money gives you access in this society. If you don't have money, you don't have access, and you're not treated like a decent fucking human being. And so many people think that they're unworthy because they don't have money, but the system is set up against you, right? Love is what magnetizes things without effort. You were never supposed to be spending your whole life doing. You're supposed to be being. And being, sitting in presence, is when you're not trying to figure anything out. You're not worried about the past and the future and what happened yesterday and things like that. No, you're being present in the moment that you are. And then will is what directs you, making choices. Making choices. You have to be an active participant in your life. You need to stop before you make a choice and make the choice you think is going to be best for you and where you're at. But there's no wrong choices. Sometimes you have to have the experience to see whether or not you like the thing. There are no mistakes. There are only lessons. And together, those two things create love, which is magnetic, and will, which is direct, which directs your energy, which is thoughts and emotions, which is mind and body. Together they create. And they're working consciously with both. You working consciously with both lets you become a co-creator rather than a reactor in your reality, right? And so we need a living relationship with source. We need to remember. So that means we need to pause and sense stillness before we experience. We need to align, which means we need to choose thoughts and actions that feel coherent, that feel expansive, that feel real, right? So we cannot make decisions from fear, trying to protect ourselves from an experience or something happening, because if we make decisions based off of that, we're making decisions based off what we don't want. Wherever you focus your awareness is wherever you start alchemizing, which means you're creating that thing. Instead, you got to make the scary decisions based off of what you do want and stop focusing on the outcomes. And instead, chase a feeling. Chase a feeling. You know, we need to express, so we need to create, we need to serve, we need to move from this inner still point. When you know who you are, your expression becomes clear. But until you know who you are and how things make you feel and how other people's projections impact you, you cannot communicate. Because you don't know, you're in a state of confusion. Then we got trust. The same intelligence that forms the stars is guiding your unfolding. You are made up of the 4 elementals. That's what connects you to Earth, right? But then you're also made from stardust. You're also made from aether, which means that you are the stars in a body right now. There's no separation between you and anything else. And so what you need to understand is source is eternal awareness breathing through every form, including you today, right now, as you watch this. Okay. Understanding that means shifting from seeking it to recognizing it everywhere, because you were not supposed to be searching for it or seeking it. You are supposed to recognize it within yourself, within other people. And that comes to the frequency of love and trust, right? Awareness is the pure witness. This is the eternal still point, the all before all. It simply is. There's no shape, there's no story, there's no direction, just presence. Infinite, silent, and ungraspable. So it doesn't move, it does not seek, it just watches and it holds space. We're supposed to become a compassionate witness, not stuck in this cycle of trying to fix, save, and heal everybody, because everybody's journey is individual. You have to first make the choice for yourself before you can ever impact. Before anybody can ever be impacted, they have to make the choice for themselves first. Okay. So this is the layer. The awareness is the layer that you touch in deep silence, in the void before thought. It's not personal, but it does hold all possibilities. It's where you create from. It's the 0 point field. Okay, so awareness lives in your chest. It lives in your heart space. So you got to make sure your heart is clear. You cannot be plagued by your unprocessed trauma. You have to learn how to integrate. Okay. And to me, I don't think there's a such thing as healing. I think that we're becoming more alive. Okay. But awareness is the God seed. It's the 0 point. Consciousness is the divine mapper. Consciousness is formless intelligence. Okay. It's how awareness is set into motion. Okay. And it takes direction. It is what chooses. It is what notices. It is what remembers. It is the architect of reality. Consciousness is what creates reality, which is why knowledge is so important. This is the one who says, I am, I see, I know, I become. Consciousness does not need a body. It needs a lens. You got to make sure that your lens is clear, though, because we're constantly filtering information through a specific lens, which is our identities. Consciousness are your identities, right? And so you got to make sure you don't have limiting identities that you've attached yourself to from childhood. One of the ones that I had from childhood is I can't be happy until other people are happy. Can you imagine how my life has been? Not being happy because I'm waiting for everybody else to be happy. But that's the lens I was looking through. And so that's an identity I had to deconstruct. So we're going to talk about that. You can think of it like light that can sculpt itself into identities, archetypes, and stories. So it's the stories you tell yourself, the archetypes, the roles that you play, the healer, the saver, the martyr, right? It's how awareness explores itself. But you don't want to get stuck in the consciousness. You don't want to get stuck in the archetype or the idea because you can't move, right? So this is where your oversoul lives. This is also where timelines, the Akashic field and divine memory swirl as well. And then you have energy. Energy is the embodied post. This is expressed intelligence. Okay, it's expressed intelligence. Energy is consciousness in form, moving through density. And so that means that energy is vibration, it's wave, it's current. It's what animates atoms and emotions and bodies and planets. So energy is how you feel your consciousness. Energy tells you what level of consciousness you're on, which means every experience that you have is just mirroring to you where you're going, what you're tapping into, what you keep putting your attention towards. Okay, it's how you move consciousness. It's the medium through which your intentions are broadcast. And it's also how consciousness becomes tangible, sensible, and somatic. It's how you bring things into this reality, right? And so in simpler terms, awareness quality is enhanced through stillness. In order for you to become more aware, you need to sit with yourself more in stillness, in a neutral energy where you're not trying to become anything. You're just being as you are and knowing that that's enough. And then when you can do that, you express that through witnessing, okay? And pulling from the infinite field, which is all possibilities, okay? Consciousness quality is improved through setting intentions and mapping things out. Okay, you express that through your soul and your oversoul and your archetypes, the identities that you associate with. But don't get stuck in the identity forever. Be who you are today. But if it's different tomorrow, be okay with that, right? And then you have energy, which is improved through movement. You live in a physical reality. In this physical reality, there's something called the law of vibration, which means everything is constantly moving. So you cannot freeze. Right? Which means you have to consistently be making choices every single day because that's how you move through timelines. Right? And so this is expressed through form, through feeling, and vibration. And so you can say that awareness is the sea, consciousness is the current, and energy is the wave. Or you can say awareness is source, consciousness is the artist, energy is the brushstrokes. Okay? This matters because understanding this trinity is crucial to new earth leadership. Because many people are trying to heal energy without understanding what consciousness seeded it. You cannot heal the outcome of something. Energy is the outcome. It's how you express your intelligence. But you need to look at the intelligence that you've decided on, the information that you decided on, and that you continuously tell yourself in order for you to fix what's happening in the energy part of things. Or many of us are trying to ascend into pure consciousness, what they call Christ consciousness, that's collective consciousness, without learning how to anchor it into energy. right? And so we're trying to tap into something without knowing how to anchor it into this reality. Or we're confusing awareness with dissociation and separation. And that's not it either. Okay. So, what's great about this is that I am a mirror of all three of these things. And I'm meant to teach us how to become the same thing. And when you can speak from presence, when you can design from consciousness, and when you can serve through energy, you are embodying God in motion. Okay. So what you're going to begin to remember through this course or these spirals is that it opens the path to understanding your being as a system, not in a mechanical sense, but in a living spiral language of the soul. And together, we're going to recode the language. Commonly used words, we're going to recode them so that they make sense. Okay. So the school structure is 9 months. It is a sacred spiral devoted to awakening the next level of your soul embodiment. Together, we're going to walk through living gateways of energy, consciousness, and awareness, one frequency at a time. How it's going to work is that you'll have 2 sessions a week. One is going to be a teaching session each week. One is going to be either a healing circle or an energy work. In the healing circle, that's where we're going to do kind of shadow work. I'm going to teach you how to read your body as a map, because every single memory lives in your body, whether you know that it's there or not. Your past life, everything lives in the body. The body is the map to your awakening, but you have to clear out enough distortion to be able to see what is underneath everything, which means stillness and things like that. And then we have energy work, where we're going to look at colors, we're going to look at songs, we're going to look at interviews, we're going to look at all these different modalities where people are moving energy, and we're going to start filling into that, because colors have texture, colors have vibration, right? Music, I want us to be able to sense tone changes. I want us to be able to sense with our aura. We're going to work on our gifts together, all those type of things. We're going to meet 3 weeks in a row and then 1 week off, because we always need a week for rest and integration. And so I've designed this into spirals of 3. So we have 3 months of energy, 3 months of consciousness, 3 months of awareness, but then we have 3 weeks in each month, 1 week, 1 day off. And so it's like everything is little spirals of 3 inside of 3 inside of 3, right? Live class does not start until March 22nd, and it ends December 22nd, 2026. And then January, February, March are going to be our off months. So we're 9 months on, 3 months off as well, because that's just how Spirit told me to design this. Now, between January 16th, which is today, and March 22nd, you will be invited into gentle presence with the community, guided reflections, and energetic preparation, which I'm going to get you guys, like I said, aligned with the energy of how to organize your day, how to organize everything around this chart that I created and I've talked about. Everything is this. Everything is this. Everything is this, right? And you're the point of awareness sitting in the center of this circle, but everything is this. Okay. And so I want to give you this technology, and I kind of want to walk you through it, and us to talk about it, and us to kind of plan our year around that. And so like in the first couple of weeks, people have paid their initiation fee up until this point. I think there's 21 people right now who are in that, in the early access, I guess. What we're going to be doing is, just kind of creating this thing together. Like I want to figure out like what times work best for everybody, and also what days work best for everybody. Where's everybody right now, and just kind of getting to know each other when we're not offering each other anything. And so it's like a place for us to come and sit in presence. So yes, your initiation fee did have to be paid by today, but from now until March, we're just sitting in presence with each other. Thank you, y'all. This was done by Mac 317, I think is his name on here. This is Chris's work. He does a lot of these. Y'all should really check him out. But that's the divine feminine, that's the divine masculine, for those who are asking. But who are we when we're not offering each other anything? Yes, you have to pay the initiation fee, but there's not a fee for February. The next fee isn't until March before class starts. So what do we look like when we don't need anything from each other? And so that's what that space is kind of going to be about. On the journey ahead, the first year of this temple school is beginner's level soul study, and so people have asked me, like, if I'm already advanced on my journey, like, can I just jump a spiral or anything like that? No. And the reason why I say that, initiation fee is $111, but you have to have already done the intake, and then I send a response to you. So if you haven't done the intake, go to my website, www.bigtajj.com/Ark'hara. Hydra or Jayla, put that in the chat for me. But it's beginner level soul study. And the reason why I want everybody to start at the beginner's level is because a lot of us are spiritual bypassing and we don't know that we're spiritual bypassing. A lot of us spiritual bypass because we think that healing means that we're supposed to be comfortable all the time. And so anything that makes us uncomfortable, we go into isolation, or we say that we're protecting our peace, or whatever the case may be, which is not beneficial for where we're actually supposed to be going. Right. So I want to make sure that everybody is on the same page and everybody went through the same program. And it also gives you a chance to community build and stuff like that as well. Sometimes we need to hear things multiple times. Right. And so this beginner level soul study is an embodied exploration of your energy body, your consciousness field, and your sacred awareness. And so this first year is about you. This first year is about you. And how do we get your crystalline nervous system feeling safe so that you can actually channel through energy? Right? We need to do that before we can work on any gifts or anything like that. We have to do that first. Okay. This is a 3-year living spiral with, like I said, 9 months on, 3 months off. Though breaks are welcome between spirals, it's highly encouraged to journey through all 3 parts of this spiral: beginners, immediate, and advanced, with the same classmates, so that you can deepen your trust and your reflection, and also just collective elevation. You know, we are better together. We are better together. We've always been better together. And that's what I don't like, us rallying and getting on the same page. Okay. So energy consciousness and awareness can be learned, observed, and explored like sciences, right? But they aren't sciences in a traditional academic sense. Instead, they kind of sit at this threshold of science and mysticism and direct experience. And so we kind of need all of them. Okay. And so energy is the science of vibrational presence. And what we need to do is study the subtle body anatomy. So chakras, meridians, auric fields, frequencies, resonance, coherence. We need to practice somatic and energy work, which is Reiki, and quantum healing, polarity therapy, Qigong, which is like moving with your hands, like moving energy, breath work. Also, we need to study fields like bioenergenetics and somatics and quantum biology and epigenetics. And no, I'm not going to get up into the tangled mess of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give you what you need to know about them. Okay. Skip all the shit. Get to the meat and potatoes. Right. And so energy responds to intention and pattern and flow. And learning energy means becoming attuned to what's moving, blocked, leaking, or expanding in your reality. It's the language of sensation and frequency. Okay. Consciousness is the science of self-awareness across dimensions. We need to learn it through studying non-dual teachings, dream work, multidimensional cosmology, and the nature of perception, how we're perceiving reality. We need to practice it through meditation and witnessing and timelines and oversoul mapping, and also altered states of consciousness. Okay, because we don't understand that when we move into an altered state of consciousness, we're creating another reality. And some of us are living in these altered state of consciousness realities, and we're not living in our actual reality. Right? The fields we kind of study for that is transpersonal psychology, quantum theory, metaphysics, a philosophy of the mind. Okay. Energy responds to intention, pattern, and flow. Okay. Consciousness is the field within which all reality takes place. That's why we need to understand consciousness, because consciousness is what creates our reality. When we study it, we learn how to form, thought, and memory arise from the imminent. You learn how form, thought, and memory arise from the infinite, right? Which is the infinite field of potential, and how we are both the observer and the observed. And then awareness is the science of presence. We need to study mindfulness, presence, attention mechanisms, attention as currency, right? We need to practice sensory awareness, introspection, which is feeling in your internal states, right? Lucid observation, witnessing practice. And so again, somatic psychology, contemplative science, trauma healing, and Buddhist psychology. Is there a monthly fee for the school? Yes, the monthly fee is $111. So the initiation fee is $111, which is new beginnings. The monthly fee is $111 as well. However, if you are going, because I know everybody's kind of going through something right now financially, because money is just kind of changing the way that she responds to people. If you need help, out of the 9 months, there are 3 months that you can ask for help. And there's kind of like a sliding scale based off of what you need. So you just need to reach out to me because, like I said, I'm not above helping people, because I think everybody should have access to this information, but we kind of right now got to be aware of what environment we're in. So it does need to be behind a paywall. It does need to be in our own space. Okay. So awareness is how you anchor into the now moment. It's how your soul lands inside of a moment, and it's what's choosing meaning and embody wisdom. So some additional systems that we're going to kind of look at is Hermeticism, as above, so below, energy and spirit principles, like the principles of spirit and energy, Kabbalah, which is the tree of life as a consciousness energy map. We'll look at Taoism, which talks about life flow, life force flow and non-resistance. We'll look at mystery schools, which talked a lot about sacred geometry. Sacred geometry is how energy organizes itself in this reality. And when you know how energy organizes itself, then when you are in meditation and you're doing like a visualization, you can imagine that shape and you're tapping into the energy. You can put the shape with the color, with the element, and you're connecting to that energy, right? We'll talk a little bit about indigenous sciences, which are going to be earth as a conscious being, vibrational kinship. We'll talk about tantra, which is energy, consciousness, and body union, how they move through your body. Astrology and human design, which is cosmic mechanics of consciousness and form as well. And so like astrology and human design, astrology is going to be the map to your celestial awakening. It tells you when everything is happening, where human design is telling you your specific energetic blueprint, your oversoul mission, your strongest sense, like the character you came here to play. It tells you everything you need to know about yourself, right? And that comes in second year. And so at the beginner's level of energy, we're going to be learning embodiment of energy and self-awareness as healing. When it comes to consciousness, we're going to be learning witnessing your personal story. And then we're going to learn emotional and mental awareness. And then a beginner's level of awareness is going to be sensory presence, but also grounded self-aware embodiment. Okay. In the intermediate, we'll start to understand the soul codes and self-leadership and guidance in the energy section. And then in consciousness, awareness of collective and mirror fields, and also relational sovereignty, which is going to teach us relational sovereignty. And then awareness in the second year is relational and energetic literacy, which is going to lead to boundary clarity and mirroring. And then in the advance, which is year 3, it's over for energy, it's oversoul and collective service. The output is going to be soul work and field facilitation. Advanced consciousness is going to be us learning about the unified field of consciousness. And then the outcome is going to be oversoul embodiment and dream weaving your reality. And then awareness in the third year is going to be cosmic non-local awareness. And then the outcome is soul level witnessing and tracking. Okay. So year 1, this is what you have to look forward to. Level 1 is going to be the foundation of energy. So teaching energy in levels mirrors the natural process of soul remembering. And so that's why I want to teach this in levels. Okay. Because then it's going to feel very natural to you. And so, sorry, y'all. Y'all know they be making me do puzzle pieces and all kind of stuff. So we need to go from the selfish energy to the systems of energy to the codes of the cosmos, right? And so the goal is to help us to reclaim our awareness of our energetic body and soul field. That's the first year. And so topics are: what are energy? What is vibration? Looking at the body as a frequency field, emotional energy versus mental energy versus instinctual energy, somatic awareness in the nervous system, right? We need to feel safe in the nervous system, right? Energy hygiene, which is grounding, clearing, shielding, the chakras as gateways, which is journal prompts and rituals. We'll kind of combine that. Presence versus projection. How do you stay present in your truth without taking on somebody else's projection or perception of you as your own? Reading energy through sensation. So that's clear empathy, clairsentience, those type of things. How trauma distorts the field, which causes freeze and fawn and fight or flight, how they kind of distort your field and like kind of distort your filter that you're seeing reality through. And then ancestral energy signatures and imprints, right? Because we don't realize that we carry not only our family's blood, but the shit that comes with us carrying their blood, which means that in their blood is DNA. DNA is a storage facility, which means that shit that they did not deal with becomes our baggage. And so we not only clearing for us, we clearing for all the people that came before us and shit that we had from our past lives, right? And so we got to talk about energy signatures and imprints. We're going to practice aura sensing and body scanning. We're going to breathe as an energy mover, because breath is how you move energy through your body. We're going to do some root rituals and some daily attunements, energy journaling as well. What's yours, what's not yours? It's kind of like this tracking of your energy, throughout the day. And then the second spiral, which is going to be when we move into consciousness, this is about witnessing yourself. And so consciousness is the observer, is the witness behind the energy, while energy is how form is animated. Consciousness is what you see, or I'm sorry, what sees, knows, and chooses. So teaching consciousness in levels is teaching self-realization. And so it's the journey to awakening. I'm walking you through the journey. And so the goal is to awaken the inner observer and begin distinguishing between thought, story, sensation, and truth. Okay. But let me say this. You already have the technology. Everything that you need is already inside of you. I am only waking it up. I am only helping you to remember how to use it. But I'm not doing anything. This is all you. Okay. And so topics we're going to discuss in the consciousness section is what is consciousness? What is awareness? What is consciousness versus thought versus identity, the ego as a protector or illusion, the voice in your head, who's talking. We need to figure that out. Stories versus sensations, which is decoding what's real. The I am practice and observer consciousness, figuring out what identities that you have for yourself, subconscious patterning, and your autopilot loops. Because so many of us have autopilot loops. We got to figure out what they are so we can break that shit down, because wherever it's landed us, we don't like that place, right? And so we're going to practice consciousness journaling. What am I believing right now? We're going to practice body-based mindfulness, observing without reacting. We're going to do some mirror work, which is witnessing without judging, which is going to help us in the healing circle, right? Because I'm going to teach you how to witness people instead of judge people, okay? That's big. Okay. But also thought labeling. What's fear? What's fantasy? What's memory? What's projection? Right. And then in spiral 3, which is the last 3 months of the first year, we have presence and sensory literacy, which is awareness. Okay. Awareness is the field of perception that lets you feel what's real. It's not just seeing, it's being seen by the moment. Okay. So teaching awareness is teaching you how to return to direct experience without distortion. Okay. How to see through the veil. Okay, so the goal is to reclaim awareness from mental loops and begin cultivating presence in the body and the sensory world. And so the topics we're going to discuss in the last 3 months are going to be what is awareness, attention versus focus, awareness living in the present moment, how trauma hijacks awareness, the 5 senses as gateways, because you need to understand the 5 senses and what they actually do. Nervous system literacy, which is cues of safety versus danger, safety versus familiarity. And then how dissociation forms and how it feels, because a lot of us are dissociated as fuck. As a spiritual mentor, I'm not just saying that. I promise you, a lot of us are avoidant and dissociated. Okay, so the practice is sensory tracking, right? Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, body scans and somatic check-ins, what's here now, reflection, practicing breath anchoring in the real time, awareness of your surroundings and your inner states, mapping dissociation, shutdown, and hypervigilance as well. Okay, and so that's your whole first year. I would get into year 2 and 3. I mean, do y'all want to hear year 2 and 3? I mean, because, okay, maybe I'll just give y'all year 2 and 3. All right. So that's year 1. Year 2 is the intermediate. Intermediate is identity through codes. Okay. I am designed. Okay. That's what we're discovering. So the goal for the first part of year 2 is to explore how soul chooses to express itself through energetic blueprints and identities, which means that we need to talk about numerology, life path, destiny numbers, human design. We need to talk about astrology, the chakra system, and soul's growth journey, past life and ancestral imprints in your chart and design, which you can find in human design and you can find in astrology. And so, like, how do we find these things out now that we have identified them from a place of intuition? Year 2 is like, now what systems have we already developed that are going to help us to see those things, right? Which is astrology, human design, your chakra system, looking at those things through your chart, right? Which is something I've already designed because I restructured human design and astrology to kind of fit around what I'll be teaching you guys. And so energy centers and defined versus undefined centers, identity projection and karmic patterns that are in your chart, right? Practices are going to be chart reading circles, code journaling, which is exploring your gifts and your shadows, and then mirror work, witnessing archetypes. We'll also do like soul contracts and soul roles, which are martyrs, teachers, rebels, like those things, because those are roles we tend to find ourselves in, and sometimes we can't get out of them. And then also connecting with your guides via your chart placements. The second spiral of year 2 is expanded consciousness. So I am aware in all directions. And the goal is to expand awareness beyond the self, to recognize interconnectedness, mirroring, and also the collective field. And so we'll talk about collective consciousness versus ancestral consciousness, triggers as portals, conscious communication, and projection tracking, which again, the first year we need to learn ourselves. So the second year we actually learn how to communicate. Okay. Polarities, which is feminine, masculine energy, light, shadow. We'll talk about that. Mirroring in relationships to your inner child versus your ego dynamic. Consciousness, conscious witnessing, and spirit versus spiritual bypassing. The difference between empathy, fusion, and clarity. We'll also start talking about multidimensional awareness and being in multiple timelines at once, which is where we get fucked up sometimes, being in multiple timelines at once. Okay. So we'll practice trigger mapping and shadow tracing, polarity meditations, which is holding two truths at one time, witness partner circles. I see you, I feel you, like that type of thing. Conscious speaking and silence rituals as well. There's going to be some Akashic work, is conscious remembering here, and meditation to your higher self and its voice. And then the third part of year 2 is inner tracking and relational awareness. And so awareness in levels in a way that honors its sacredness and presence as the thread between energy and consciousness, because awareness is what threads those two things together. Like the breath between an inhale and exhale, because the inhale would be energy, the exhale would be consciousness. So I see myself in the mirror. Okay. So the goal here is to deepen inward awareness while expanding capacity to feel others without fusion, collapse, or projection. The topics are going to be inner and outer awareness, feeling without fusion, boundaries is awareness, how projection hides true awareness, awareness of relational fields, so contracts, chords, mirroring, reading subtle clues like tone, body, energy, which we're going to kind of do that every year, but this just kind of gets a little bit more advanced. And then how awareness gets distorted through stories, roles, and trauma bonds. And so we'll practice inner tracking journaling, mirror meditations, awareness mapping, which is tracking energy shifts in rooms and stuff like that, tending your own field in group spaces, and honoring your no as clarity, not rejection. And that's year 2. Okay. Year 3 is advanced, and this is multidimensional energy mastery. I am consciousness embodied. Okay. This is where embodiment starts to happen. Integration starts to happen. The goal is to activate the oversoul level awareness and guide others through energy reading and transformation. The topics are going to be your oversoul, your higher self, your multidimensional embodiment. Energy reading is mirroring, not diagnosing people. Flame lineages and origin frequencies, which I'm writing a book right now that's a fantasy book, and it's going to be about the flame lineages, so that it's going to have like spiritual truths all through the book, and it's going to be like written as like a parallel universe to this universe. So you'll see the similarities, but I'm not going to outright say the things. But for those of y'all who know that y'all know, it's a creative way for me to teach y'all about that, and so that's going to be something that's coming soon. But it's going to teach you the flame lineages. So light and sound as creation technology. So sacred geometry, light codes, collective field dynamics, and grid work as well. Timeline navigation and memory healing, ethical energy work and consent, right? Because I'm the type of reader that I only operate from an ethical place. I think that tapping into people's energy without them having consent from them is not ethical. Tapping into people who have passed away, who are like celebrities, not ethical to me. Okay. And so I'm going to teach you how to do ethical energy work, consent, and things like that. And then creating and holding a sacred energetic containers as well. Also ethical. People will call me all the time and they'll ask me, or like they'll set up a meeting with me and they're like, well, what does my partner think about this? Or what does this person think? That's not ethical to me. Ask the fucking person, And so what we're going to do in the last year, first part, we're going to talk about channeling, voice, writing, and movement, group energy attunement. We'll do reading timelines and soul signatures, advanced aura clearing and cord cutting, mirror flame activation, stuff like that. And this is where the priestess leadership becomes a opportunity for people. Once you've moved through all 3 spirals, the priestess path is available to you. And this is me just kind of developing you if you want to start your own business or do your own thing, or once you learn how to read and once you learn how to do all these things, if you want to run your own shit or be a part of in the temple, I'm okay with that, but also designing your own energetic system as well. The second part of this spiral is going to be consciousness, of course, but sovereign consciousness. So awareness is the organ of remembrance, is how the soul feels the way back to itself. And so learning that you are the field. So the goal is to embody oversoul level consciousness, holding paradox, unity, and soul-led perception together. And so topics are going to be oversoul consciousness in the Sarai field, non-duality, so all is one, all is self, fractals and holographic mirrors, consciousness as architecture of creation, spiritual identity versus cosmic identity, I am no one. So the ego death and soul synthesis is going to come in here. Quantum witnessing, which is timeline, soul contracts, karmic loops, holding presence for others without collapsing, or interfacing, which means absorbing a motherfucking energy. Like, how do you hold presence for other people? Reality is a dream, mirror, and feedback loop as well. We're going to practice some soul mirror, practice some oversoul anchoring meditations, dream work as well, symbolic decoding. I'm going to teach you how to interpret your own dreams and shit like that, because you need to know that, because your dreams are always talking to you. And then quantum presence, which is shifting reality through awareness. You can always shift your reality. The bonus things here is being a holder of group consciousness, consciousness tracking through sound, movement, and stillness. And then the last part of year 3 is expanded and non-local awareness, which is I am the witness, I am the field. The goal is to stabilize awareness as a spiritual posture, one that sees without grasping, holds space without contracting, which is neutrality. We'll be learning sacred neutrality. So topics are pan awareness, which is non-local, dream, soul, etheric awareness. We'll talk about tracking energy threads across timelines. We'll talk about awareness as portals open and close. We'll talk about light speed awareness versus density-based perception. We'll talk about reading archetypes, flame frequencies, and soul imprints, becoming a seer who serves the field, not through ego. And then the holy pause, clarity before movement, which is kind of like that void womb that we kind of enter into, and people don't really know how to master slowness, so they don't know how to really navigate this energy. The things that we'll practice in this last is dream tracking and awareness in altered states, timeline bridging, which is tracing patterns to its origin, non-interference witnessing, which is neutral presence, holding frequency-based awareness in groups, and awareness rituals, which is just sitting in the unknown without trying to fix things. Okay, so that is it. That is all. That is the program. That is everything that you need to know. The program itself is a $111 initiation fee, $111 a month for 9 months. You get 3 months off. Which during that time, I'm trying to see if I can get funding for us to go on a trip together, just because there's places where energy is potent, and I want to see if we can go and we can feel the energy and we can see what we're picking up, what we're getting, what we're, all those things, because that's what I feel like school should have been. And so this is what I feel like school should have been. I created the system. Now we're just gonna walk this spiral together and see where it takes us. And so like everything that I'm doing right now is kind of built around that. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Let me go through some of these on YouTube. Feel better, Dominique. I will let him know exactly. No. Okay. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Period. I love that. Forever learning. Peace. Is there a monthly fee? I already answered that. This woman is so grounded, knowledgeable, spiritually gifted, and centered. Awesome teacher. I started watching her TikTok, ancestral storage, energy, and energy signatures. Oh, period. Thank you. So remembering. Thanks for sharing this knowledge. You are so welcome. Finally, a tribe that understands all the stuff, boundary clearing. I want to know the codes of the cosmos. Period. Me too. I'm looking forward to starting. I am excited too, y'all. Like this has been a long time coming. I was a little discouraged because the app wasn't ready, and I can't wait to share with y'all the app. The app got so much stuff. There's a temple hall where you can kind of share if there's any reflections you want to share. You can share it in this temple hall, and people can kind of comment and respond and things like that. But you also can share it anonymously. So it's kind of like an honesty box. If you don't want to put your name on it, you're not comfortable being seen yet, I give you space to kind of work through that in that temple hall. And then there's a Sarai library. So any session that we hold, it will be recorded and automatically put into that library. So if you miss a class, you just reach out to me or one of the priestesses and we can assign you a code to give you time to go in there. But then there's also resources in the library that you can kind of check out and borrow. And, you just need to, once you're done, return. And then the library also has a study hall, which I'm in the process of putting that part together because I need to at least get the yes from Apple first, and then I'll go back and make the adjustment. But I want there to be a study hall because we learn through repetition. And so I want like flashcards for the definitions and stuff that I'm going to be giving you guys. And I made them very easy, so easy that like a 5-year-old could get these things. Like, for example, energy, the invisible spark that makes everything move and feel alive. Like the wind that moves the leaves or the warmth in your chest when you laugh, the invisible essence that animates all. Consciousness, the part of you that notices. It's the quiet watcher behind your eyes, the one who sees, feels, dreams, and chooses. The awareness that witnesses, direct, and moves energy. Masculine, the part of energy that moves, gives shapes, and build. Like the sun, warm, bright, and always shining with purpose. Feminine, the part of energy that flows, feels, and holds, like the ocean, deep, gentle, wild, and full of life, right? So I want to have like flashcards where you can go into study hall and you can just kind of like do that, but also where you guys can study together if y'all want to, so if y'all want to interact and kind of shoot things back and forth, like that type of thing. I want you to have a space to do that. I also have something called the Moon Gate, and the Moon Gate is where every single week there's going to be it's AI, so it's geared by AI. So literally, you can just kind of pull it down, and it'll tell you what the energy is of the week, because I feel like you need that. Yes, you'll be tested, but not in traditional test, because I don't think that I'm trying to make you memorize anything. I feel like it's kind of like self-study, self-empowerment, but I will, like, in class, like, hey, what's masculine energy? Or hey, just to kind of keep y'all, regurgitating the same stuff. Or like, oh, I mean, I guess that's memorizing. So yes, but no, not in the way that you think. Um, Damn, what was I saying before that? Oh, so the Moon Gate. And so, like, in the Moon Gate, every single, thank you, babe. The Moon Gate, every single week you go there and it'll have the astrology of the week, but it also lists all the past astrology. But there is a section where you can, like, put in the search bar if you want to ask specific questions about your own chart or whatever. You can do that through that gate. But there's also, there's the Moon Gate, which is astrology, but then you can click dream interpretation as well. So many people reach out to me about their dreams. And so even though I'm going to teach you dream interpretation in this series, until you get there, it will be a way for you to just put in your dream, and then it'll give you the symbology. It'll give you what it thinks like an interpretation, and then maybe like some questions that you should be asking yourself and stuff like that. The same with the astrology. It's going to give you rituals to do. It's going to give you questions that you should be asking yourself that week, things like that, right? And so that's just a way to help people without them having to come to me for all of that stuff, so the Moon Gate is there. And then there's also a marketplace where you can buy readings or whatever it is that you want to buy at a discounted rate through that site. But then I also have priestesses who are going to be doing live readings and stuff like that each week. So they're going to pick like a time slot, and then each week they're going to go live, do some readings, which might come at a really, really cheap rate, or some of them might be free. It's just kind of like to keep the space open and keep everybody moving, Then there is a section when it comes to your profile. Your profile, you can put a picture, you can put a background picture, you can put your favorite song on there as well, because I kind of want it to be like MySpace type of vibe, like MySpace used to come in, you was playing the jams, you was, and then also your favorite quote can kind of go on there as well. Everybody will have their own password, so everybody will need to sign up for the site, and then students will have a specific section, guests will have a specific section, and then the priest and architect, which is me, we have our own like kind of back end type of shit. But there's also chats. So there's going to be a main community chat, and then if you're in the beginner spiral, you'll also have a beginner spiral chat. And then if you want to DM or talk to anybody who is in class with you, so that y'all don't have to exchange numbers or anything like that, just to keep everybody safe, you can also DM direct message and stuff to people as well. So really fun stuff, really exciting stuff. I can't wait to share that with y'all. I'm in the process of getting that completely done. There's still some things I kind of want to add to the app, because I eventually want the app to just be like, I don't know. I have so many ideas and I don't run out of ideas. And so I'm just kind of like doing that as I go, though. And so I just wanted to hop on here today and just kind of get us jump started, get us excited. If you have not applied for Ark'hara, please go to my website, www.bigtajj.com/Ark'hara. Any payments that are made today will get you into, actually, I'm going to make it until Monday, just because I want to give people time who's this is their first time hearing this today. But if you apply through my website, I'll do as many intakes as I can today, get some answers back to people today as well. And then the presence is only opened this first time. It's only open to the people who have already made their initiation fee. Right now, we have 21 people in the course, which I'm so excited about. Like I said, I do have a team of 3 that's going to be working with me, 4 of us together. And so you guys are kind of going to be broken up into what y'all need as well. And so, like, in this beginning part, for the people who are starting early, I would love for y'all to send over y'all date of birth, y'all time of birth, y'all location of birth, so that I can figure out what your energy is, because I kind of want to pair y'all into groups that are kind of like-minded, and get y'all paired with a priestess who is the opposite energy of y'all. Because when you have too much fire, you need water. When you have too much water, you need fire, and then people who are just air and earth are kind of like going to be like our neutral type of energy. Like, to your email. What you mean? Should we send it by email or Telegram? Wait, send what, y'all? I forgot what I said. Yeah, everybody's asking that question. What did I say, y'all? So there's not a book club, but if y'all want a book club, I can make us a book club chat. Oh, date of birth, place of birth, time of birth. Yes, so send it to Flame Spiral Help. Send it to Flame Spiral Help. If you're already in the program, though, you have to already be accepted into the program, meaning your initiation fee is already paid up front. And so if you have applied for the program and you haven't heard anything back from me, I did send out a mass email that I think was going to some people's spam folder. And so go to your email and search Flame Spiral Help at gmail.com or tajamore16 at gmail.com, because it went to both of those emails. So Flame Spiral Help or tajamore16 at gmail, and respond, yes, you're ready, and I'll send y'all the invoice. Yep, just so date of birth, place of birth, time of birth is all I need. And I just want to pull everybody's chart beforehand so I can kind of like put y'all in groups, because in the app we have different classrooms as well. So if we need to break out into groups to work on something like in a more, intimate setting, we're going to do that as well. And so yeah, I'm super excited. I think you guys are going to love the priests and priestesses. I think the value that they bring is so important. I see you, Principal Taja, period. Thank you. Thank you. I love being seen. But no, there is no hierarchy in this school. I think we're peers. It's each one teach one up in this place. I think hierarchy is a waste of everything. Wait, the groups are going to be broken down by modalities. In a way, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of going to be like factions or modalities or elements or whatever. Just because I think that if I do it that way, I can pair y'all with energy that helps y'all. Like if I'm doing like, say for instance, you in the earth group, right? And I'm doing like a project, because we gonna have projects, y'all. I'm sorry, but they're gonna be fun, but they're gonna be projects, right? So we're gonna have projects and stuff. So if you are in the earth energy, pairing you with fire, because fire and water they're not gonna cook. There was two completely different energies, right? But earth and air actually help to stabilize those two energies. And so I can pair y'all kind of cross way, And so, yeah, I agree. 111 a month is fairly cheap and the reason why I did 111 a month is because I'm trying to create a different energetic economy. I wish I could give it to y'all for free, but there's something called sacred energy exchange, which means that I cannot give it free for nothing back in return. And so the $111 a month is a fair price, because what I want in exchange is participation. I want participation. I want us to have fun together. I don't want this to be me just talking at y'all. Fuck no. And if there's people in the class, like people in class who know a lot about something and they want to come up and share and they want to talk, or I am okay with that. I want this to be our school. I want this to be all of ours, not just mine. Even with the priestesses, there's certain things that eventually they'll be doing. And so making sure that they have the proper coursework and taking classes and things like that, just to make us all better, so yeah, it's only 111 because the other part of the energy exchange that I would like is participation. I want us to, when we in our healing circle, yes, it's going to require you to be vulnerable. Yes, we're going to have days where we cry. Yes, we're going to have days where it's hard and we want to help that person or whatever, but we have to go through that we got to go through the darkness to get to the light a little bit, And so I want us to be able to lean on each other and to be able to have a real community, but that requires us being visible and us being seen. And I want us to, I don't know, have people who also felt the way that we felt, so we feel validated, but we also got to move from that place, So yeah, that's it. That's all. And so I look forward to if anybody hasn't applied and you're interested, I'll be doing responses today. Once you get your response, it does come with a welcome package. I really suggest y'all read through the welcome package, because in the welcome package, I do give y'all like Monday through Friday little organization shit that y'all can do. I talk about what Ark'hara is, what I'm trying to do, the pillars of the school, that type of stuff. But then I also talk about warnings and spiritual announcements, which are like the difference between, the thin line between spiritual psychosis and spiritual awakening. You need to read that disclaimer. Something else that you might experience if you already have an energy or mental looper, emotional feeder attached to you. When I first started at a spiritual school and somebody who was going to help me, I kept feeling confusion. I kept feeling fog. I kept feeling this voice in my head tell me not to trust this person. Right. And so if you already have a feeder, or if you need to understand what that feels like. So, and you need to come to me and tell me so that I can help you. Right. And so that disclaimer is there. I also have other, disclaimers about things that you just need to know that might happen when you go on this spiritual journey, like ego death and what that feels like, soul level shutdown, which is apathy, what that feels like, because I think that a lot of people are putting people in spiritual positions, like doing, oh, let's work on our gifts, let's work on this. But they're not giving them the education of what is on the astral realm. What's in the 4D when you step into the 4D, and it's dangerous because it's more real than here. And so people wake up and they got scratches, and they had I just want to do this slowly, do this grounded, so that you don't step into spiritual psychosis, and so that you don't put yourself at risk, because we want to lucid dream before we astral project, right? I just want to give you guidance on that part as somebody who had to learn the hard fucking way. I had to learn the hard way, And so yeah, that's it. That's all. I have to go because I have a client in 30 minutes. But I wanted to hop on here, and I just wanted to give y'all the deets, and I wanted to share with y'all and tell y'all that I'm so excited. The class length is going to be about this, an hour and 30 minutes, twice a week, And so, yeah, 111 equals 3. Yep. And then it's for 9 months, which equals 999, which is the completion of the spiral. So if you pay 111 for the 9 months, it's actually 999. But if you add in your initiation fee, it's 1111, 1111. I'm good. I know. But Spirit kept breaking things up to me in threes, like 369. Everything is 369. Everything. And so, yeah. Or feeling like you've been working out. So excited. Yeah, so can't wait to meet everybody. If you guys need anything, my Telegram is Hydra. Yep, Hydra is one of the priestesses. Everybody say hi to Hydra. Jayla's in here too somewhere. I don't know if she's still in here, but she's in here somewhere. She's also going to be helping as well. And yeah, so y'all are so sweet, so cute. She's here somewhere. She's just a hider. She's just hiding. I'm like that too. Can't be happy without the ones I love. You hold so much wisdom and knowledge. Feel so safe with you as a spiritual mentor. Oh, thank you, baby. I appreciate that. It took me a long time to get here. I'm still working on myself. I'm not perfect. I'm on the other side of it now, which is good, but I'm not perfect. I haven't had a perfect journey, but I think that definitely helps eventually. Because I think I'm coming from this place of I had to go through it the hard way, and so I just kind of want to, from what I learned, kind of help people, and from what I'm constantly channeling and stuff like that. And so it's going to be amazing. None of it is going to be new. It's going to be things that you already know on a soul level. I'm just bringing it back to your awareness, so you remember who you are. And it might be a little hard. It might be a little uncomfortable sometimes, but know that you're always safe with me. I don't have any malicious intent when it comes to anybody. I'm not afraid to have the hard conversations. I'm not afraid to be called out. Call me out, hell, if I need to be called out. I think that this should be collaborative. That's what I want this to be. I don't want this to feel like school. I want this to feel like fun. I want you to wake up and say, oh, today's Tuesday. I can't wait until my class. I want you to be like, oh, you need me to come to your dinner at 8:00? Oh, baby, I can't come. I got class on Tuesday. Like, that's the type of energy I'm bringing into the space. Like, I want you to love being here. I want you to love being here. I want you to love learning about yourself. I want you to fall in love with yourself every time that you step into this space. And then you fall in love with the other people that share that space with you. That's what I want for us. And I think we deserve it, but we got to learn how to operate and exist with each other in a healthy way. We got to learn how to exist with ourselves in a healthy way, because until you can exist with yourself healthily, you can't exist with other people healthy. We got to learn how to love ourselves, because until you can love yourself, you can't love other people. You can only love people from the lens you're looking through, you know? And so I want us to grow and evolve and allow ourselves to be transformed together. But you got to be willing to be transformed, because it's a lot of people who just want to be comfortable in their chaos. I just want to be able to stay in this chaos, but be comfortable while I'm in it. No, you're going to have to become a different person, which means you're going to have to die over and over and over again. But know that while you're going through this process, you are going to be held. You are going to be soothed. You are going to be seen for the first time. Being seen for the first time is scary sometimes, you know, because it's like, wait, I don't got to explain this to you 11 times. You actually just get me on the first try. Oh my gosh, I think I'm going to cry, you know, you know? And so what I'm trying to do is help us to anchor in a frequency together, you know? Oh, period. Oh, every time I see you speaking life into me, oh, girl, are you trying to win my heart? I love that for us. I think that's what life should be. You know, we don't look at each other as the art that we are anymore. And I hate that for us. I hate that for us. There's art that lives inside of all of us. Art is the alchemy. It's what we're transforming something into. The pain, all of it, it wasn't for nothing. None of it was for nothing. All of it gets you here. I've been through an immense amount of trauma in my life, pain, suffering, all of those things. And on the other side of that, I'm still compassionate. I'm still loving. I still care. A lot of times we think we need to harden. That's the opposite of what we need to do. If more of us softened instead of hardened, we'd be living in a completely different reality, you know? But that's my essence. My essence is of love. It's always been of love. This is a soul vow. It's always been of love. I did get away from myself for a minute, you know, because life happens. People will tear you the fuck up in this place. If you let them, they'll turn you every which way but loose. You know, it's your job to figure out how to stand upright again. You know, I think that the most beautiful people are the most people who have experienced the most pain, the most transformation, because we don't have a choice. When you oppress people, you have to change. When you're privileged people, the environment we live in supports you not changing at all. But we have to change because our environment is trauma. We have to figure out a way to feel safe even in the chaos. And I think that's where our gifts come from. That's where our gift comes from, is us learning how to navigate, continuously having to grow and evolve so that we can survive. But now I want us to come back fully alive and start living again, because joy is a sacred force of rebellion. They're always trying to snuff the joy out in you. And the reason why is because that weaves light back through the collective. It weaves light back through the collective. And so it's not about becoming healed, because if you make it about becoming healed, you're going to continuously see yourself as broken. It is about you coming fully alive again. You allowing yourself to be witnessed, regardless of how people perceive or receive you. You loving yourself so unconditionally that you move unapologetically through this reality. And you know that anything that you want is yours because you said so. We got to learn how to baby step it though, you know, because we used to instant gratification. We need slow mastery. But when you can learn that, there's nothing that can stop you but you. There's nothing, you know? And so I'm here to help you to see the beauty that already exists inside of you and everything around you. But right now a lot of us can't see it because the filters, the lenses that we're choosing to look through. It's okay. Let's just choose another one. You know, because everything I've been through shaped me into who I am right now. If I erase any of that, I am not this beautiful person that you see today. I don't know who I am without the things that shaped me. You got to get there. It's all teaching you a lesson, and you designed it perfectly for you. You designed this perfectly for you in all of its messiness and all of its chaos. And that's hard sometimes for us to hear that when we still in the victim energy. It's hard to hear that because then you think I'm saying that what you went through wasn't important and that you're supposed to just get over it and what. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that most people are not hurt because of the event. Most people are hurt because nobody saw, because nobody held them, because nobody validated them, because nobody soothed them. Right? And so let's hold each other. Let's validate each other. Let's soothe each other back to safety. But you got to learn how to trust again if you ever gonna experience expansion. Right now, a lot of us are living in hell when we could create heaven on earth. We just don't know how to do it. And that's where I come in. You little heavenly angel. Or I don't want to be called an angel. I want to be called something else. I don't fucking know what I want to be called yet. But anywho, I gotta go because I got a client. But I love y'all. Okay. I hope to see y'all in class. I really genuinely do because it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting. I want to bring out the creator in you. I want you to start looking at yourself as you are and not who the world told you to be. I want that for you. I love that for you. Nobody can do what you can do. You know? So this will be on YouTube if y'all want to watch this back. I know I talked a little fast towards the end. So agents. I know I talked a little fast towards the end, but I'm going to put this on YouTube so y'all can go back and watch it, you know, but get excited about this. This is exciting and we're embodying this and anchoring this in together, you know? So I love y'all. I'll see y'all later. Oh, wow, I have a shallow heart on my wrist and I feel heart in between my thumb and pointer finger. Oh, yeah, girl, that's intuition and you ain't even know it. That's intuition, sister. Yeah, it is time for you to come out your shell. Earth equals heart planet. Absolutely. It's a feeling. It's a water body. It's an oceanic frequency. Okay. I love y'all, YouTube. I'll see y'all later.